I always thought love was something soft, gentle, something that slips into your life quietly, like sunlight through curtains on an early morning. I never imagined it could be messy, confusing, painful, and yet so overwhelmingly beautiful that it breaks you apart just to build you back stronger. My name is Emily, and this is the story of how sickness almost destroyed me, how a mistake could have ended my marriage, but instead became the reason our love was reborn. I still remember the day it all began. It was late autumn in the city, the kind of chilly morning that makes you pull your coat tighter. I had been feeling unusually tired for days, dizzy sometimes, and breathless going up the stairs to our apartment. I brushed it off, maybe stress, maybe lack of sleep. I worked long hours at a small interior design studio, and my husband Liam always told me I pushed myself too hard. "You carry the world on your shoulders, Em," he'd say, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "One day, it's going to be too much." He was right. That day, I collapsed in the office. I woke up in a hospital bed, bright lights stinging my eyes, the beeping of a monitor next to me. I tried to sit up, but felt too weak. Doctors and nurses moved around me, checking vitals, whispering. Liam burst into the room seconds later, face pale, eyes wide with worry. He grabbed my hand like he was afraid I might disappear. "Emily," he whispered, voice trembling. "Thank God, you scared me." I wanted to reassure him, to tell him I was fine, but I wasn't. They told me I had a complication, something that needed time to heal. It wasn't life-threatening, but I'd need rest, monitoring, and treatment. But that wasn't the real shock. The doctor asked if I was aware I was pregnant. My heart stopped. I wasn't, and I knew Liam and I had been trying to conceive for almost 2 years. The idea that I was pregnant, it should have brought joy. But something was off. Liam's face shifted just slightly, not happiness. Something else, something like fear. "Don't worry," he said quietly to the doctor. "We'll take care of everything." The room suddenly felt too cold. They left it was just us. I looked at him, my voice weak. "Pregnant." I whispered. "Liam, how?" He didn't answer. He looked away. And I felt panic rising. Days passed. I recovered slowly at home, but something about Liam changed. He was overly attentive, loving, but distance lingered behind his eyes. He brought me breakfast in bed, kissed my forehead every morning, sat beside me during every medication dose. It was too perfect, too controlled, like he was trying to make up for something. Then came the truth. It was the night I couldn't sleep and went downstairs for water. Liam was in the living room, phone in hand, pacing back and forth. I paused behind the wall, listening. "I know what I did was wrong," he whispered. "She doesn't know the baby wasn't." He stopped himself. My world shattered. That night, when he came to bed, I pretended to sleep. A silent tear slid down my cheek, and in that moment, I felt everything shock, heartbreak, betrayal. Liam was the man I trusted most, my husband, the one I'd built dreams with. We didn't even have kids yet, but I imagined a future where he would hold our son one day Michael, the name we picked when we still hoped, and now this. The next morning, I confronted him. I kept it calm. I asked him if he wanted to tell me something. His hands shook. He couldn't meet my eyes. Finally, he confessed. When I fainted, doctors suspected pregnancy. Liam panicked. He knew we hadn't gotten pregnant naturally, despite trying for so long. In that fear and shock, he lied. He told the doctor I was pregnant to protect me from stress, thinking it would bring positivity. But in that lie, he planted pain. It wasn't true. I wasn't pregnant. And that wasn't all. Months earlier, during one of our bad phases when arguments over fertility, treatments, and emotional exhaustion drove us apart, he had made a mistake. A brief encounter with someone else. Nothing serious, nothing lasting, he said. Just weakness. But his guilt was now drowning him. "I thought I was losing you," he said, eyes filled with tears. "You were so distant. I was stupid. And when I thought you might be pregnant, even if it wasn't true, part of me felt like maybe that lie could bring us back." I stood silent. I could have screamed. I could have thrown things or walked out. But instead, I cried quietly. Not because I hated him, but because I still loved him. That was the worst part. I loved him so much that even his betrayal couldn't kill that love. But I didn't forgive him that day. Weeks passed. I focused on healing. I slept alone in our room while he slept on the sofa. He wrote letters, long emotional ones. He left at my bedside every morning. He cooked for me, took me to treatments, never missed a doctor's appointment. He didn't push for forgiveness. He just stayed quietly, patiently. Then came me and my best friend since childhood. She came over one evening, holding tea and chocolate. She listened to everything. No judgment, no advice, just understanding. She held my hand and whispered, "Emily, love isn't about perfection. It's about choices. Pain changes people. So does love. You have every right to walk away. But if you choose to stay, make sure it's not out of fear. Let it be because you believe something can still grow here." That night, I sat outside alone on the balcony. Liam came out quietly. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said softly, "but I want to spend the rest of our lives earning it." We said nothing more. Just sat. The silence no longer hostile, just empty. And in that emptiness, something new began. Months passed. I grew stronger. Slowly, I allowed him back into my heart. Not fully. We attended counseling, rebuilt communication, traveled together, not to escape, but to rediscover each other. In Italy, he held my hand as we walked along a quiet canal and whispered, "One day, I hope we'll walk here with our child." I didn't answer, but deep inside, I hoped to. Then, almost a year after that hospital incident, I found out I was really pregnant. This time, it was real. I sat on the edge of the bathtub, holding the test, hands shaking. Tears streamed down my face, not from fear, but disbelief. When Liam came home, I didn't say anything. I just handed him a small box. Inside was the test, and a tiny note, "Michael is coming." He broke. He fell to his knees in front of me, holding me, crying harder than I'd ever seen. He whispered, "Thank you for giving me another chance to be the man you always believed I could be." My illness passed. Our pain became growth. His betrayal became a turning point. Not because betrayal is acceptable, but because love, when healed, can become stronger than before. Liam surprised me a few weeks later. He took me to a quiet place outside the city, an old house, surrounded by trees. It was beautiful, newly renovated, warm, peaceful. "This," he said, "is our new beginning. A home for you, me, and Michael." In the center of the empty living room was a crib he built himself, painted softly. Inside, engraved on the wood, "For Emily, who taught me that love is forgiveness. For Michael, who will be the reason I always choose the right path. For us, because our story didn't break, here it began." I fell into his arms, and for the first time since that awful day, I held him not with hesitation, but with love. Today, as I speak to you, our son is asleep in the room next to us. Liam is downstairs, making dinner like he does every evening. I watch him sometimes, how carefully he holds our baby, how gently he kisses me goodnight, how he never stops trying. Not all relationships survive betrayal. Not all mistakes deserve forgiveness. But love, true love, means fighting together even when it's hard. I once thought sickness would break me, but it didn't. Instead, it broke what was fake and rebuilt what was real. I'm Emily. And sometimes, the moment you feel most broken is the beginning of everything beautiful.